So, guys, today we're going to do a design, on best practices on how to do bottom navigation, right? So, let's get started. Now, to do bottom navigation is quite easy and tricky at the same time. So, let's get a draft. Pick your screen, 13 mini, get started, right? Now, the reason we are choosing our screen first is for us to get the measurement of what we're doing. So I want to start by creating an icon. This is just an illustration of an icon. So you could do 60, 60, or we could make it 50, a bit smaller, right? Then write your label. Let's assume we want this to be home, right? So add this to auto layout, reduce it to like 5, right? Look for the size here. In most cases, you could have size 12, right? In most cases, you could have 14. You could play around with it to see the one that fits. So I want to duplicate this. Let's assume that this is explore, right? You can duplicate this. Let's assume that this is messages, right? Duplicate this. Let's say this is profile, right? You can duplicate this. Let's say this is settings. Okay, so what we can do, we can keep this out for now. We might want to reduce this size of our icons to make it more realistic. We could say 40. Cool. Now, there's a simple trick here. If you look at the size of this, you will see the width is 40, right? That is because it has assumed the bigger component, which is the icon, to be 40. Now, this is 40, right? But you find out that the width is 43. That's because it has assumed the width of the wider component, which is the explore text, right? Also here, you find out that it's 58, meaning because of this text, right? Let's see here. Here is 40 because the icon is bigger than the text, right? Now, the trick I do here is simple. I look for the wider component out of these four, which is what? 58. That's messages. Now, I now increase the width. What was it earlier? It was 58. So I can go ahead and do 60, right? Now, if I've done 60 with one, I can now do 60 for the rest. So what does this mean? It means that home is 60, explore 60, messages 60, profile 60. Then I can select all four and do what? Add auto layout, right? Now let's see how this is going to look. Let's bring it into our design, right? Let's color it for the sake of visibility. Let's put a fill of, let's say, red, right? Now look at this. Now, what I want to do simply is create a padding, a top padding and a bottom padding. First of all, let me turn this text to white, right, for visibility. So click on it, go here, vertical padding. Let's start with 10. Let's see how it looks. 10 looks good. Let's leave it at that. Now let's add horizontal padding, right? Let's add 10, right? Now let's, since the width of our work space is what, 375, what I like to do immediately, stretch it a bit to open this, then say 375. Add it all to the center, align center, right? Now fix it back here. Now look at what we've achieved. We've made sure that all of our text are, all of our components. So now the text is not this. The component now is not determined by the text, because you can have text of smaller weight, you can have this one bigger, this, they're all different sizes. But look at the main components that we created, they are all the same size, 60 by 60. Look at all of them, 60 by 60 here. Now this is most important, because at this place you can make any change. You see, it doesn't affect, see, it doesn't affect the structure of your work. Anyone you want to touch, it doesn't affect the rest of the component, right? Now let's watch how it will look if, for example, we didn't assume the size of the component together. So let's duplicate this, take it here. Let's remove all of this by simply saying hog content, right? Watch. Now the mistake we, some of us make, is this: by the time you say you want to tamper with one, see the way it starts dragging the rest of the component. This is what makes your work uneven most of the time, and most of us here, we make those mistakes. Now look at this measurement. This shows that even these icons are not aligned, right? You can't compromise the alignment of the component as a whole for this text. That is why in this case, if you try to add more text, it doesn't change the alignment. But here, the more you adjust the text, the more it shifts your component to the left and to the right. So for best practices, use this method other than this. This will make your work very clean. Now, you might go ahead to refine this just a bit. We might want to say, probably change the color, you know, have these two, white or whichever color comes to mind.